Hiwatt Lead 100R Trinity today we're having a look at. This is a beast of an amplifier, but I'm afraid it seems to be rather sick at the moment. So let's just hone in and have a look at what we've got on here. But most of you have seen one of these before. I actually haven't. I don't see many of these Hiwatts. I've seen some of the older ones. So we've got rhythm, volume, treble and bass. We've got one channel there. We've got overdrive and pull overdrive. We've got lead volume. We've got then treble, middle and bass, presence control, master volume and reverb on there. This amp is in mint condition. It is in beautiful condition. So let's have a look at the back. Right, I've just turned it around. I think it weighs more than I do. So let's have a look what we've got on the back. So here's something. We've got the impedance selector here, which is done with a rotary switch, which is, I think, is a good idea. Nice, simple, just with a chicken knob on there. So that's good. And I've got speaker outs. We've got a line level, line out, foot switch, FX send and return, and then just the fuses over there, usual thing. And there we look, made in England. Don't seem to be any serial. I don't know whether because I'm looking through the camera. There might be a serial number on there. I can't see it if there is. But yeah, what a beast! Right, have a listen to that. That's one problem with it. So let's plug a lead into it. Just turn the master down now. Now bearing in mind this amp is 100 watts. So anybody who's used a 100 watt amp will know just how powerful they are. Got an incredible amount of gain in it. Plenty of overdrive, but way too much. And there's a foot switch, a socket at the back. I'm not quite sure what's happening with this channel, different channel arrangement. If you look at this rhythm channel, it's like rhythm channel is really quiet because that's already at, what would you say, number 4. They were blowing the windows out. And that's living room level. So there's something not right with that channel. And if you turn the treble down, it gets louder. on there, so I've never seen that before. It gets louder when you turn the treble down and quieter when you turn the treble up. Now I'm talking louder than that is now, and that is now flat out. So that tells you what's going on there. So I have no clue. I've also got this LED indicator light on there. So again, is this on fault with it? You know, if that's on the lead channel, then why is the rhythm channel kind of cutting in there? This overdrive is the one that has all the, and that's the sort of power you'd expect when you flick the volume. But on the rhythm channel, we've got nothing. So I don't quite know how these channels are interacting, whether they should be like that, or whether there's a fault with them. Now that don't work at all, because you begin to turn up the overdrive, but when you turn the treble up, the treble interacts with that. The treble on this channel interacts with the other channel, with the lead channel. But then when you turn the treble on there like that, what's going on there? So that treble pot on that rhythm channel is interfering with both channels. It turns down the rhythm channel and does it adds another band of distortion in on the lead channel. So why I assume that this is all one channel is because if you look at this white line going from there to there, it seems to group those as one channel, so we presume this is another. So what on earth is going on there with that? So put the reverb in. And if we turn that rhythm volume out, and the amp comes back to having a decent sound, as soon as that's turned up, it sounds dreadful. On top of that, if we pull out the lead, I've got this horrendous humming, and you can hear it fading in and fading out. Dry joints, perhaps. And I'm not tapping that very hard. You can hear that, so that maybe gives us a bit of a clue that to what there could be a few faults with this, to be fair. But that does not sound good, does it? You wouldn't expect any hum like that on this amplifier with no guitar lead in there. It's almost like it's not grounding. Almost like the jack socket's not grounding out. Don't know. So there we go. So that's going to be an interesting one. So we're going to have to crack this open and have a look what's inside. I presume I'm going to find a PC board because of all these LEDs. I could be wrong, of course. I've never looked in one of these before. I actually looked online. Let's turn that down, sorry. I actually looked online and I can find loads of Hiwatt heads, but this 100 watt lead with the Trinity on there, written on there, I can't find any. So I don't really know that much about this amplifier, to be fair. Yeah, it's a strange one. But anyway, we need to get the back off it, have a nosy in there, and then get the chassis out. So having a look inside now, we're just honing. You can see we've got the 4 EL34s there, and look at the size of that transformer there. My days, he's a beast. Look at these great bolts going through here, look. Look at these. That's a proper built amplifier. And if we go to that's the output transformer there, you can see. Check that out. That's a beast. So I've counted five let's just hone in inside. See, I don't know how far we'll get inside here, but you can see the reverb tank there. Let me just change some settings on this so we can see inside. That's better. So you can see the preamp tubes there. I've counted 5 in there. And there's a boatload of capacitors at the back of that transformer. You can probably just see one protruding there. Notice the branding on the tubes. We've got Hiwatt on them. Look at these caps as well on the top there. Oops, that one's just come off. Yeah, they're really good. Not seen those type of caps before, but that's really good quality. This is a well-made amplifier. Try to look at the capacitors in there just to see what we've got. Are they Dallies? Oh, I'm not sure, they look like it. So yes, that's strange as well. I've had a look while I've been not looking through the camera, but it says serial number there. There's no serial number at all. And no wattage rating and no hertz rating either. So a strange one, this. Very strange amplifier. Never seen one of these before. Beautiful looking amplifier though. My word. I just hope when I open it up that it's not a PC board in there. But what I've seen so far of this looks quality. Right, we've removed it from the case, so that's my weight training for the day. And we've got this piece of, it's like aluminium, that, not sure, and it's just taped on. So let's remove the tape and see what's underneath. So PCB or hand wired? Place your bets now. Let's just get this off. So I'm not doing it with one hand because I have the camera with the other one. There we go. Are you ready? And there we go. Ah, it's part of it's hand wired. On there, well, let's have a look. Yeah, we've got a bit of a tag stripping, so that's good the way they've mounted the output valves. But I'm afraid the preamp valves, if we look there, are mounted into the PC board. So, but that all looks good. Although a half watt resistor there, by the look of it. Interesting. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be inside though. I worried I was going to see thousands of components. I would imagine that's the transformer for the reverb there, and we've got this board here If we look, just zoom back out a bit so we can see all of it. Going to have to do a little bit of steadying looking through the camera. It's very difficult to look and see what's what. Yes. So we just have a look. We go through. You see there? So that's a bit of a look round in there. So if we just pull out a bit with the camera, you can see all of it. So yes, this amp is a beast. So it's also very well built, despite obviously having this PC board. It is very well built. And I was being rather careful because those caps have got bleed resistors across them, but I've not checked them with the meter, so I assume they're not discharged. Right, so what we're going to do now, I think the first thing I'm going to do is tip this back over and check the preamp valves, the obvious things first of all. There could be a few things wrong with this amp. There could be a problem with this with the channel switching on it, and there could also be a tube that's gone as well. So we need to do some investigating. So first thing is check the preamp tubes. We know the output tubes are fine. It's just the preamp tubes we need to check. Right, I've turned it back over and we're looking at some of the tubes, and these are all original, the tubes, because they all say Hiwatt on them, every one of them. What they don't actually say is what they are. We presume they're all 12AX7s, but it doesn't actually say that on them anywhere. So it's to be hoped that that's what they are. We've got some right in there on the side, but we don't know what that means. That means nothing, not to me anyway. So I just so yeah, all of these tubes, let's get another one out and have a look. Yeah, it just says Hiwatt on it. Oh, hang on, what's that there? What does that say? Sorry, get that in focus. It doesn't say what tube it is. So I don't know. We presume they're all 12AX7s. So I'm going to fetch a 12AX7 now, and I'm just going to run this up and change amperes. One of these is going to be for the reverb, I would imagine. Need to try and find a schematic of this amp, because the thing is, some of these type of amplifiers will have a 12AT7 in the phase inverter, but because these tubes have got no marking on them, they've just got the name Hiwatt on them. It doesn't tell you what tubes they are. Nope, that one just the same. So we need to be sure what these tubes are really. We presume that they're all 12AX7s. We need to make sure that the phase inverter is. Right, let's I've got a tube to try. I don't think it's going to be a tube, but unless there's a couple of faults with it. So when we turn that rhythm volume up there, that goes a bit skanky. So I'm just going to swap this tube first of all, and we've got this Jan 12AX7, Joint Army Navy, I think that stands for. So we'll pop him in there. Let's bring the volume up to where it was. that's not working at all now with that tube in. I'm sure that's a good tube. But then again, if this is the lead channel, we need to find out. I need to get a foot switch in this. If this is the lead channel, then that wouldn't be working. Or shouldn't be, should it? So let's pop in the old Hiwatt tube again. Very strange. So let's remove him again, pop him back in. So now that's not working at all. This channel is. And that's what I would expect if it's on the lead channel. And I would imagine that when we put a foot switch in there, that will turn green. So what's going on with that? So let's just put the volume down again. Let's remove this tube and put this one in here, which came out of the first socket. Put the volume back to where it was. That tube that came from V1, we'll call that V1, may not be on the underside of the PC board, but we'll call that V1. So when we take V1 out and put it in V2, see, that's now the original V2 tube back in. That volume's doing nothing. So when we swap that tube from there, pop it in there, like so. We'll bring that back up there. And that's all. And now this volume starts working again. How bizarre. I've never seen that before. That is a new one. That is a new one. So just take that volume down. Let's take them out again. Let's put the original one back in there. Let's try V3 then. Now he sounds like the phase inverter to me, judging by the and I think I'm just going to put it on standby. That's not even doing my speakers any good, is it? Surely that's not the phase inverter though. A bit of trouble getting him in there. There he goes. There she blows. Right, let's see what happens now. try the standby. It always works better when the standby is on. So nothing on there again. How weird. Right, so it seems to be when that tube is in V1 or V2 socket that we get that problem. Yet we've put that in V3, we've got no problem. Now we've not got a schematic for this amp, so we don't know whether that tube is anything to do with the reverb. We've got the reverb disabled, so because we've got no tank plugged into it. That is a very strange indeed. Very strange. This now isn't working at all. So this tube here, something doesn't seem quite right with it, and I don't know what that could be, but I've never come across that before, and yet it works perfect in V3. So what I'm going to do now is go off and find a foot switch and come back and plug it in and see if it changes these channels correctly. Right, I've got a foot switch on it. We've got some strange things happening. They're extremely microphonic. It doesn't matter which tube we put in. And you can see if we start moving this socket, we get all sorts of problems. So let's try the Hiwatt tube in there. Just turn both volumes down, pop him out, and we'll pop in the Joint Army Navy one that we had. Again though, very microphonic. That's Beard the cat. I'm just going to let her out. So now I've got the foot switch in, and you do need the foot switch in this to change the channels. If you take the foot switch out, we're just left with that lead channel. There is no way, or I've not found any way of switching channels without the foot switch. So we've got quite a nice clean tone, and it's now got a lot more volume. Switch channels. And now that volume control is not interfering with the lead channel. So I'm wondering whether the contacts on that foot switch are dirty and need cleaning. It seems to have corrected that. But it does seem to have a bit more life on the old clean channel than it does the overdrive channel. Now the guitar is plugged into it. This tube's not microphonic. I think that socket was cleaning as well. So that seems to have settled down now. That was really intermittent, that valve, but it does seem to have settled down. So I think we'll just, so let's now we've given those contacts a bit of a clean on this 12AX7. Let's unplug the foot switch altogether. Now let's see what happens with it. Now we're back on the lead channel, obviously. That immediately switches you over. And now that's not interfering with it. Sockets, valve sockets, jack sockets. I think plugging the foot switch into that, I think that's what that was. I think that was just some dirt on the contacts of that foot switch, and that wasn't disengaging properly, and we were getting a little bit of both channels somehow. But that's certainly cleared up now. I've put the original Hiwatt valve back in, and there's no bother. My word, there's some gain on that. That really has got some gain. To the gain. I've not bottom end on because I've got that bass there. Put the full bass on. Yes, that's a beast. I'm back on the clean channel. I have to put the foot switch in, won't we, for that, to get the old to get the clean channel on. Let's just pop that in the back like a so. So now we're back on the clean channel. Now I've got this rhythm channel as it is, but now I've got this flat art on the rhythm channel on here, there, and just there. And I've actually got quite a bit of crunch on there. Seems a hell of a lot louder on that channel, but this amp really is monstrously loud. So you get, even if you crank up even the rhythm channel, you get a nice bit of crunch there, but it does clean up. Seems a bit harsh sounding that. So there we are. So I think that was a very strange fault, but I think that was down to the foot switch. But wasn't it strange that when we put this joint Army Navy tube in there, that it worked properly with the foot switch out, and when we returned that Hiwatt valve it didn't again. So I don't know, that's a bit of a mystery, that one. But anyway, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this into the workshop and just clean everything, all the sockets, volume pots, jack sockets on the front, the ones that's on the back, and then we'll plug it in again and have another listen and see if it's good to go. So I'm just going to pull this lead out, because we had and I'm just going to pull the foot switch out. So we're now back to where we were originally. Now this amp had a hell of a hum on it, and there we go, look. So there is definitely something is going on there now. Yeah, that's clean. Yeah. And that's that tube there. Isn't that weird? When the foot switch is in, it doesn't do that, but when the foot switch is out, look at that. Well, that is odd. I've never seen that before. Well, well. So a good clean up is what's needed with this amp, I think. So I'll get it in the workshop. We'll spray all the controls, spray the pots, everything else, and obviously the tube sockets, and then we'll have another listen. Do you know, I've just looked at this as well. I've just tipped this upside down, and we better hope with this amplifier that is just dirty sockets, because if you look at those sockets, they're soldered into the board, but the print, there's no solder on this side of the board. They've soldered, the sockets have gone through on the print side, which means you've got to take the board out to get at those Yeah, I will have to take the board out if yet another one. Man, this let's just back out a bit and on the camera and just have a look. I don't think this is going to be a great problem to get this one out. Having said that, the one on the JTM30 wasn't too bad. It would have been had we have not been able to get it past that vertical board. But this one doesn't look too bad to get out, really. I think that when we take all those pots out, that I think that'll just fold over. I don't see any wires on the front of it. All the wires are on the back of it. They're going along. So I think if we do have to take that out, we'll be okay. It actually might pay to take it out and just see if there is any dry joints on it. But yes, there's actually, you know, when you look at this board, there's not a massive amount of components in this amplifier. Certainly when you look at today's amplifiers. I mean, you've got this other board, just move this tape. You've got this other board here going on. And I think the bias is the bias trim pot control is on there. You can see that there. So we've got that on there, and that's all the power supply and the bias by the look of it that's on there. It's actually, for a PC board amp, this is very well laid out. And then you can see we've still got the output sockets mounted the original way, and they've put that neat tag strip in there, which is really good. So, but the pots are mounted into the board, I'm afraid, and so are the valve sockets, so we'll have to mark them down on that, won't we? Right, I've cleaned all the pots and the sockets, but I'm afraid we've lost all the cracking and popping now. But we have got an intermittent problem. You can hear the gain coming up there. So I said from the start, this amp's lacking gain. So I think we've got a problem on that socket, and I'm afraid we are going to have to remove the board. But it shouldn't be too much of a job on this. As I said, we looked at it previously. So we're going to leave that for part one, and part two will be taking out the board and having a look at those solder joints on that PC board there, because that obviously clearly is not right. So that'll do it for this one. So thanks for watching, and you all take good care, and I'll see you in part two. Bye bye for now.